a constitutional issue.
All right.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
I think we would start probably with the defense on that motion.
Yes.
Is there anything else that the prosecution cares to raise?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I understand that the defense has a motion. Shall we proceed with that at this time?
It states that one should not give testimony against oneself. In fact, Chief Justice Warren added to this in Miranda v. Arizona, in which a police officer must read the following words to a person in custody. They have the right to remain silent. Anything they say may be used against them in court. They have the right to a lawyer. If they want a lawyer but cannot afford one, the court will appoint one before any questioning. Your Honor, this was never the case. The defendant was never in custody when this questioning took place. We respectfully request that the following statements that the defendant made to Officer Wright, it's a bicyclist. I'm so sorry, I could never forgive myself, be moved into the trial. Miranda establishes that these words must be repeated to a person in custody or who is arrested. And once again, this defendant was never in custody. Oregon v. Mathiasen states that police are not required to Mirandize every suspect. And this is clear in the way that Tony DeLuca and the defendant are treated in this case. Tony DeLuca and the defendant were both had a talk with Officer Wright that night, and none of them were Mirandized.
Can you answer this for me, Mr. C? Is there a scenario where the police, in this instance, are concerned that Mr. Vega may have committed a crime, and if they were concerned that he may have committed a crime before they began questioning him, wouldn't it just be simple to give the Miranda warning before getting into any conversation or exchange with Ms. Vega?
Your Honor, the police did not get Miranda warnings because they were never put in custody in the first place. Miranda states that one must be in custody and must be interrogated to have the warnings, but since they were not in custody, they cannot have Miranda, according to Chief Justice Warren.
Okay, thank you. You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Wright, Adrian complains of being cold that night, multiple times in fact. This leads Officer Wright out of being a good-hearted police officer to allowing him to sit in the back seat. This is an important thing because it would have been a major problem if she would have gotten cold and gotten sick. Your Honor, it would have been much more suspicious had it been hot that day. However, it was very cold, and it also must be noted that she had nowhere else to go. She had lost her keys. She could not get into her house. She just had an argument with her best friend. Therefore, there was nowhere to go. So this was the best option rather than letting her freeze. Also, according to Yarbrough, if a defendant goes into an area willingly, they are not in custody, and Mathiasen additionally states that if a person in custody is significantly restrained, they are in custody, I'm sorry. She was never significantly restrained. In fact, once they're in the car, they talk about her swim team win. Officer Wright was a huge fan of her swimming. Had she been in custody, Officer Wright would have been far more serious and not congratulated her on her win.
Excuse me though, Mr. C. It seems to me Ms. Vega, younger in age, she's in a situation where police authority are questioning her. How is she to perceive that as anything other than, gosh, I can't move from here until the police say they're done with me?
Your Honor, first of all, there were only 2 police officers. It was not like in Green v. Superior Court, where there was a whole armada that came. And Green never needed Miranda rights, according to Superior Court. In addition, she should have been fine. And could you rephrase that question again one more time?
Well, my question was, she's younger, they're in a position of authority. Doesn't it make it seem to someone in her position that she can't leave until the police is done with her?
Your Honor, could have left at any time. The police were just there, and they never put her into custody, therefore she never needed Miranda rights, and if she wanted to leave, she was free at any time. The only time you're not allowed to leave is if an officer puts you in custody, which she was never.
All right, I understand your position. Please continue.
Of course. Relating to the door locks, the defendant gets in and the door closes behind her, and this is only because cold drafts would have frozen the car and they would have still gotten cold. However, she never knew the door locks were locked. According to Green v. Superior Court, this does not constitute as custody. In addition, Thompson states that Miranda is needed if the defendant is put into a coercive atmosphere, and I'll bring this up again. The swim team clearly makes it that it was non-coercive, and with one police officer who was caring for him, this clearly states that it's not.
30 seconds.
In addition, after the defendant had been arrested, she said that after she'd been arrested, she felt like, oh, I'm in custody. Her exact words were, said that she was at arrest at the station and did not feel under arrest at the time of their conversation. In addition, actually, let's move on now. The defendant will be penalized.
Stop.
Let her conclude, yeah.
The police officer states,
Stop.
will be
It's time.
sorry.